Hi everyone, and welcome to this video. So today we're going to be looking at the list data structure that Redis provides. A list provides for us a way in which you can be able to store a sequence of ordered items, and in most cases these are strings. So we're going to look at how we can be able to create a list, and we're going to explore some of the commands that come when using a list. We'll also look at how these lists are very similar to how we may see the lists that we use in our normal programming languages. So let us get started by creating a list. Right here in my terminal, I already have my Redis CLI running, so I'm going to begin by creating a simple list. So we're going to begin by creating a list and then pushing an item to the end of that list. So the way we do that is by using the rpush command, and we specify the list key. So the list key is basically a way in which we name our list. So I'm going to provide this, I'm going to call this names, and I'll call this names 1. So it's going to be our first list of names, and then I'll go ahead and provide whatever value that we want to have as our first item in the list. Now keep in mind that all the values in our list can be accessed by indices, and this is very similar to how you may see lists operate in arrays or lists in Python and so on. So we're going to insert our first name as Jonathan and then press enter. So what this is going to return is an integer value that specifies the length of the list that we have created. So if we want to check for the length of the list we've created, we do that by using list len, and that is the len command. So we specify the list key, which is names1, which is the name that we've given to this list, and it will return an integer value of 1, basically showing us that we've been able to create a list, and this list has an item that is 1. So let us go ahead and add another item. So what we've done here is to create a list, and the rpush command basically checks if this list does not exist, and if it doesn't exist, it will go ahead and create a list with a list key of names 1, and then insert a value to the right of that specific list. Now let us go ahead and basically create one at the left, or be able to append an item to the list. So the way we're going to do that is by using the lpush command. So I'm just going to come and say lpush, and we're going to provide our key, which is names 1, and then we shall provide the value. So this value is going to be Jerry, and this will be added as the first item to our list. So when you press enter, we now see that our list has 2 items, and in this case, when we check for the length, we can see that our length of the list is going to be 2. Now, what if we wanted to access these various elements in our list? Now, this list is very similar to how we may see an array or a list in other programming languages. In case we want to access an item, we'll have to access it from 0 by using what is called an index. So an index is a place that is a number that basically describes the place where that specific item is within our list. So let's say we wanted to get an item of index 1, we can do that by using lindex, and then we specify the key. In this case, it's going to be names 1, and then we want to go ahead and specify the index. So let's say index 0. So this is going to return our item, which is Jerry. So the name Jerry is at our index 0. Now, in case we wanted to find the next item or the second item, that is going to be at index 1. So we shall do the same thing, and then provide our index, which is going to be index 1. So this will return the name Jonathan. Now, what if we wanted to actually go ahead and return all the values that are within our list? So list provide for us a way in which you can be able to retrieve all these values. So the way I'm going to do that is by using the lrange command, and then specify names 1. So here we have to specify which index we are starting at and which index we are stopping at. So in this case, we are starting at 0, which is the first one, and then we are ending at 1, which is basically the second one. So this will go ahead and basically return our list and all the items in our list. Now let's say we wanted to add some more items to our list. We may do that by, let's say, I'm going to just come and say we're going to use a right push to add to the end of the list. So I'll just come and say rpush, and then specify our key, which is names 1, and then I'll provide our values. So let's say we're going to add Jane, we're going to add Sam, we're going to add Joel, we're going to add Patricia, we are also going to add Ruth, and I'll go ahead and press now. When you basically enter this, we see that our list has increased in values, and now it has a length of 7. So if you wanted to find out the length of this, now when you do L range names and then you start from 0 to 1, of course it's going to return the first 2 items. Now let's say I wanted to find out all the items in the list. That means you have to go from the first index to the last index of our list. So I'm going to do this by coming and saying 0 to, let's say, index of 7, and this will return all the names within our list. Now let us go ahead and try to access or slice this list. Now in case you wanted to find out from starting from the last item to a certain item within our list, that's when we can use negative indices. So for example, if we wanted to find out from the last name to the name at index of 5, then this would have an index of -1, -2, and -3. So let us try it out. So if I say L range, and in this case I say names and then 1, so in this case we can do something like starting from -1 to going all the way to -3, and basically this is returning an empty set. I think we are starting from -3. Let us try. And then we're ending at -1. So this is actually going to work. So we did it the opposite way. We're starting from -3, which is Joel. That's when you're starting from the last, and you go all the way to the last one, which is Ruth, which is at -1. So if we try to access, let's say from 0 to negative, so let's say from 0 to, let's say I wanted to access the name Jonathan by starting from the negative side. So it would be -1, -2, -3, -4, -5, and -6. So if you say it from 0 to -6, that will actually go ahead and try to get from items starting from 0 only going and up to Jonathan. So that will basically return only Jerry and Jonathan. So this is very interesting, and it's very similar to how we may do it in Python by using slices and stuff like that. Now what if we wanted to remove an item within our list? So we would be able to do that is by using the lrem command, and this basically takes in the key. So we'll do something like names1, and then we provide the number of items we want to remove. So in this case, we want to remove one item, so we have to also specify the value that we want to remove. So let's say we want to remove the name Jerry. So since this has removed an item, it will return the integer value specifying the item that we've removed. So in this case, it's going to be the item of Jerry, and it's one item. So if we try to get all the, so let's say I wanted to get all the names, so in this case, we shall say names1. And then we start from 0 going to 7, so it's out of range. So right now we actually see that it's returning all items within our list, but all these values do not have the name Jerry because we have basically deleted it. So this is very similar to how we may do it in a list. We are basically deleting, and we are specifying that we are getting that specific, we're specifying that we're actually getting this, and we are deleting one item basing on the value that we want to actually delete. Another thing we may do is to basically pop, just like we do it in a Python list. So by doing that, we can do a left pop and a right pop. So the way you do a left pop is by saying lpop, and then you provide keys. So that will basically get rid of the last item at the end of the list, actually get rid of the first item at the start of the list, and then return that item. So if you say lpop and then names1, so that will basically return the name Jonathan. And in case we do an L range on our names1 and then we specify 0 to, let's say, 3, in this case you'll see that our name that was the first, which was Jonathan, has now gone. So if we say we are going up to the last item, we don't see our name here, so basically Jane is now the first, but it was Jonathan that was our first name. So if we want to do a right pop, it's similar. So if we do something like right pop, we shall provide the key, which is names1, and this will basically get rid of the name Ruth. So if we try to access all the names, we see that it's basically returning our list, but in this case it doesn't have the last item, what we had as the last item. Now this is amazing. So in case we wanted to do something like, let's say, moving one item from one list to another, we may do something called the write pop L push. So something like write pop L push, and this will basically take in the source, which is the source or the list we are actually trying to get an item from, and then the destination, so that is another list. So this will also go ahead and create the list in case it doesn't exist. So if we want to do that, we'll do the source, which is going to be names1, and then the destination, let's say we're going to create another list called names2, and that will go ahead and transfer the name Patricia from our list to the newly created list. So if we try to get all items within our list, we now see that we only have 3 items. But if we try to get all items within let's say our list that we've created, that will be using, we can do something like L index and then specify names2 and then index 0, so that we return our name Patricia, meaning we've been able to basically move that specific name from our first list to a second list. I hope this video has been helpful and has helped you to understand something or two about lists, and I hope to see you in the next Redis video. Thank you for watching. If you've liked this video, please leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video about Redis. Bye.